We're going to go into the reporting back, and the energy table told me they are good to go, so we'll have Rob report back.
Our topic was how can we reduce energy throughout the community, reducing electricity usage. So some of the strengths we identified, we're a small community, so it might make it easier to get things done to educate the community. We are an engaged community. There's like 100 nonprofits in Cottage Grove and lots of community groups and people working together, so that ought to help. There are pockets of affluence or there are some resources available that could help. And then it's the community is sometimes affluent in non-monetary ways in terms of just engagement, social capital. We're lucky that we have 2 utilities that have good programs and incentives. EPUD tends to be more the rural, and Pacific Power tends to be more in the city limits. We have some space and some land, so if we were doing any community solar, there's places we could put it. The technology available for energy efficiency has gotten really good. Like heat pumps are really good. Heat pump water heaters work great. There's some pretty good stuff, smart thermostats and all kinds of good stuff. Other strengths, Homes for Good helps with getting some energy efficiency out there in terms of like insulation and other stuff. We're going to go to the opportunity, but community refrigeration could be a way of saving energy by doing some things at a scale. There's some, I guess the city has some energy education and energy efficiency programs that people could take advantage of. If people are using wood fuels for heating, there's availability of that. I'm not sure about the climate impacts of the burning though. Those are what we got as strengths. Weaknesses, sometimes having 2 utilities in the town makes it a little harder to have a consistent message as to what are the programs available. This was more of a transportation one, just the fact that there's, thinking about transportation energy, that there's not as much public transportation in the rural areas, at least availability. There is high poverty in Cottage Grove, pretty high, we're like 60-something% free and reduced lunch in the schools, so there's a lot of families that don't have resources. The lack of resources could translate to inability to fund, like putting in that heat pump water heater or insulating or doing other things. Attitudes and cultural, sometimes people don't believe climate change is a problem, or they don't want them, or just people don't like change. Climate denial is kind of an impediment sometimes, at least getting people to want to make changes. And then as we move towards more electrification, a lot more electric cars, more electric appliances in the home, we have to have enough capacity of clean electricity, clean energy. A lot of our energy is clean now because it's hydro and so forth. But as we use more electricity versus all the fuels we're using for our cars and such, that could be a problem. Weaknesses, limited resources for manufacturing. That's more of not a Cottage Grove one, but more like all the lithium we might need, all the specialized materials. The capacity for building all the solar panels and the electric cars and all that. And then you need to deal with the parts and the materials that you use and be able to recycle them. We talked about that a lot of things are too centralized, so all the power is centralized as opposed to being decentralized. Those are weaknesses. The opportunities, there are lots of federal, state, and local incentives for all kinds of energy efficiencies, from light bulbs to solar panels to insulation. EPUD has loans, so like, let's just say if you did insulate your house, you'd save a whole bunch of money over what you're paying. Well, if you don't have the money, you can't insulate it, so you can't save the money, and you're not comfortable. But if you can get a loan, then you can make the change, be more comfortable, and save money over the long haul. So that'll help a lot of people if they're willing to do it and know about it. Solar and wind technologies are way better than they were 10 years ago. Another opportunity is really just positively reframing the issue. So given sometimes people don't even want to believe climate change is real, so trying to get that change, that's not going to really get you there. But if you can just convince somebody that here, if you just do this, you're going to save some money and be more comfortable, that might be a positive framing that gets people to do the right thing. You use less energy, you save some money, and you're more comfortable. So that's a better framing. Another opportunity, there are some really great energy education programs. Chalice talked about the REACH program that might have been done by Lane County in partnership with EPUD, hoping that we can get something like that back again. It's sort of not happening. There's an opportunity for things like collaborative community-wide solutions. So like the farmers don't have a real great solution for refrigerating their produce some of the time, but if there was a community-wide thing, it would, one, be more efficient energy-wise, but it might help them all. Energy audits, EPA does a lot there, and they can even do it without coming to your house, and that could help you to, save some money and save some energy. Shading trees, the urban forestry is doing some good stuff there, and trees were free. Threats, the politics and the polarization gets in our way, unfortunately. Resource adequacy we talked about. Lack of collaboration, or that we need to work together more to get this stuff done. We talked about the financial resources. Some of these upfront costs can be high, so we need to work on that. More things like the loans, or there's other programs that can help with financing. Then anything to do with materials, there might be, having to recycle the batteries from things. And then a good point was made that sometimes there's corporate greenwashing that, really misleads people in terms of how things are going, and that just takes away from getting stuff done. And I think that's all we did.